Wild about nettles. Hi, I'm Ian Roofe, welcome to Get Gardening, and on today's video we're looking at the wonder that are nettles. Now I know what you're thinking, they're not wonderful, they clog up the borders, they make it look unsightly and they sting you. But these wild plants are an absolute wonder, and they're something which as gardeners we should be encouraging because they have many wonderful uses. Now we're here in the cornfield at East Ruston and we'll show you more of that a bit later on, but on the boundaries here we always keep a batch of nettles, Urtica dioicea, with other sort of wild things sown in. There's a number of reasons we do this. One is because it gives a wonderful wildlife bank. It gives a perfect habitat for many butterflies which we get in the garden, which we will hover above the meadow on warm days to actually lay their eggs, and their larvae, the caterpillars as well, will feed off the foliage, and also they lay their eggs here because actually they are protected. Now the thing about a nettle leaf is that if we were to look at it in great detail, you might be able to see it there just on the surface. It's full of what are the equivalent of glass needles full of their sting, really. And what happens is that when you brush them, the needles snap and they release their chemical, their poison, I suppose it is really, and that's what gives you the sting on the arm and the bumps on your skin. But what it does mean is that if there are eggs laid under there, caterpillars can hatch out and they can develop under these leaves quite successfully. Now, what are the uses for nettles as a gardener? Well, we've talked about wildlife benefits, and that is wonderful. And people often say, well, it looks a bit of a mess, but actually, it's actually quite a nice effect to have them along here. And also the use in the garden is we can actually make fertiliser from them. We can make good organic fertiliser. It's high in nitrogen, which means it's going to produce lots and lots of leafy growth on plants. And although we're slightly later in the year, and this is something really that is even better to make early in the year, ideally sort of March, April time, it's still something we can make use of. Great for lettuces, great for courgettes. The feed that we get from nettles is just brilliant for anything we want to produce leafy growth. So it's something which we can still be applying to our veg crops in particular throughout August and September while they're still maturing nicely. Now, how to make it? Now, it's very, very simple, and it involves cutting as much of the nettle off as possible and putting it into a bucket. Now, you may have seen other people do this, and every gardener has varying methods of how to do it. And obviously I am wearing gloves because over time you do become sort of more immune to the stings as a gardener, but when you're sort of grabbing mature nettles like this, then they can have quite a sting on them. So we're going to cut as much as we can. There's nothing on here, don't worry, I'm not destroying a perfect wildlife habitat. There's metres and metres of this nettle along here. Just about full, and we'll finish this off somewhere dry. We've come into the greenhouse, get out of the rain. It's still a bit noisy, but it's dry anyway. And we've got our bucket of wonderful nettles with us. Now, as we said, the nettles will give us a really high nitrogen feed, but we have to put them through a process first, and it's steeping. And it involves us filling this bucket up with water. And I've just got some rainwater here out of the water butt. And I like to fill it just so that we are almost covering the nettles. Let's hope this bucket's not got a hole in it. There we are. And we're going to push them in a bit more. And then what we'll do is we will leave this probably either in the greenhouse here. Ideally somewhere a little bit warmer is great, just because the warmth will help the process, and it will encourage the nettles to steep, to rot, to ferment down, and it will create the most putrid smelling brown broth that you've ever seen. But once it's done that, it means it's ready, and then we can dilute it 10 parts of this liquid to, so 1 part of this liquid to 10 parts water into the watering can, and we can use it to water everything we want that gives us lovely green lush foliage and a bumper leafy crop. If you've got courgettes and marrows, then if we can... It's getting harder. It's raining more. So I keep going. You can edit that bit out.